there, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of True North Sports Talk podcast. As always, Peter Barclay here, and we're gonna be diving deep into at least North American, but a hockey tradition coming up. Being that it is the Christmas season, we all know what that means. Right after is Boxing Day, and that is the start of the World Junior Championship. Knowing that the championship is not quite the senior men's world championship or Olympic level hockey, it's the next best thing. And unlike some of those other tournaments, this is an annual event. Over the last 25, 30 years or so of my life, they have done a beautiful job of marketing and just promoting this tournament and building it up into what it is today. And so we're doing a preview on it, so that y'all are ready come Boxing Day for the tournament. This is the 50th anniversary of the tournament, and this year it is being held in North America. It's not always being held in North America, but this year it's in St. Paul, Minneapolis in Minnesota, and we're talking about a very highly anticipated junior hockey event this year, and it is featuring the best under 20 players from around the world. This tournament has become so massive that even players who are on NHL teams that are still of age have sometimes, and this year, dropped back to play with the national junior team. You get players from all the leagues around. You get the WHL, the Q, the OHL. You even get some guys out of the the ECHL. And so there's just guys from all over the place that they draw from. Now, this year the storylines are huge. You're looking at Team Canada, that is coming off of back-to-back disappointing years. They have finished not well, and you have Team USA that is looking to add up another accolade to their team for the third straight year. You've got Gavin McKenna, who appears to be the consensus number one overall pick coming into next year's draft. He is the leader on the Canadian team, with guys like Celebrini and Bedard moving into the next level with the NHL, and to a degree they've aged out of the World Juniors. And so today we're breaking down everything that you need to know. We're going to start with Team Canada and their redemption quest. Then we'll dive into Team USA and see how they're doing. We'll cover a little bit of Sweden, Finland, and we're going to give you a dark horse pick as a team to watch out for that might sneak their way in and end up on the podium. And then we'll wrap up with things to watch going into the puck drop on December 26th. Sweden and Canada have already split some pre-tournament games, with each taking away a win. So who has the momentum going into this tournament? That is going to be the burning question on everyone's mind. And so, as you can imagine, this is going to be a loaded episode. Grab your drink of choice. I know I have mine, as you can see. Let's buckle up and see where we go. So, as we mentioned, Team Canada, redemption or bust. And we'll start with the elephant in the room that has become Team Canada. In Canada, we expect gold medals. So the fact that it's been a couple years since they've won, it's not a good time in Canadian World Juniors, but it's new beginnings, shall we say. And for a hockey powerhouse like Canada, We need those new beginnings badly because, as mentioned, nothing but gold is what this country expects. This is a country that expects gold, and anything, even a silver, feels like a monumental failure. So what's different this year? Well, in a word, everything. Hockey Canada made sweeping changes to their program this year. They brought in all new management structure that's led by Mark Hunter and Alan Miller. They hired Dale Hunter, yes, that Dale Hunter, the former NHL tough guy and Owen Sound attack coach, and him and his brother, the Hunter brothers, they are the owners, operators, coach, everything of the London Knights, and they have been brought in to lead this team. They've assembled what many are calling one of the most talented rosters that we've had in recent history, although there are some players that question marks surround in the OHL circles as to why they didn't even get a call, much less the fact that they were left off of this roster. So that tells you how loaded Canada really is. Canada has 24 players, and it's stacked with NHL, meaning drafted or playing in the NHL affiliated talent. 18 of the 23 skaters are former or future first-round picks. They have 6 players with NHL experience this season, and that's more than they've had in years. So let's talk about the forwards. That's where we'll start, with the goal scoring. Their top line seems like it's going to be absolutely lethal on paper. You got Gavin McKenna, Michael Misa, and Porter Martone. Let me repeat that. McKenna, Misa, Martone. That's the projected number 1 pick in the 2026 draft in McKenna, the 2nd overall pick from 2025, and the 6th pick from 2025. So this line has potential to be one of the best that Canada has put out there in years. Now, Gavin McKenna, he's a story that everyone's watching. He's 17 years old. He just turned 18 actually yesterday. And he's the consensus tops prospect for the 2026 draft and is being compared to names like Connor McDavid, Connor Bedard in terms of hype. Last season, he dominated the Western Hockey League with 129 points in 56 games, won Player of the Year honors in both the WHL and the entire CHL, which is the Canadian Hockey League. Here's the thing though. McKenna jumped to Penn State in the NCAA this season looking to further his education. His production has cooled off quite a bit as he is playing against guys who are older, more mature, because the NCAA, it's not just high schoolers anymore. You're playing against some actual men up to 24 years old. Because the NCAA, a lot of guys stick around for 4 years. They become bigger, faster, more mature. That's where Austin Matthews came from before he was drafted by the Maple Leafs. And so it's almost like playing on a KHL team out of Europe. You're playing against men and not just other people that are your age. So it stands to reason that his production would drop off a little bit. Now he's still more than a point a game. He's got 18 points in 16 games, so that's still fairly solid. But it's not the firehouse that we're used to seeing from him. So it's still good, but it's not the otherly worldly dominance people expected. But you got to understand there's that jump in physicality that he still has to get used to. Some critics have questioned whether he's struggling against better competition. McKenna knows it, and he's motivated, and this tournament is his chance to send a message and silence some of those doubters. Michael Misa is the San Jose Sharks' prized prospect. They got Celebrini right now. So imagine those two playing together. He was the second overall pick in this year's draft, and he led the entire CHL last season with 134 points in 65 games. He's got NHL experience already, playing with the Sharks and Mr. Celebrini. He's got 3 points in 7 games, and Misa was recovering from an injury early in camp, but he's been cleared and will center the top line. And that being said, we all know the type of game changer that he is. Porter Martone is the Flyers' 6th overall pick from this year's draft. He's playing at Michigan State, so he is in the same league as McKenna is. And he's got 19 points in 14 games, so their numbers are pretty comparable. And as we said, the NCAA, that's a completely different ball game for these guys coming out of the OHL. He's big, he's skilled, and he brings that physical edge. And when you pair that with him, McKenna, and Misa, that seems like a bit of a cheat code, because he'll clear the way for them to do their thing. The second line features Tej Aginla, and yes, that is Jerome Aginla's son. So if you remember Jerome Aginla, if you're old enough like I am to remember him, this kid is likely going to come in with high expectations, but if he's even maybe a third as skilled as his dad was, and I assume it's more, because I haven't watched a whole lot of his games yet, but we're looking to see something special with him. They paired him with Michael Hague and Brady Martin, and Aginla was the 6th overall pick by Utah in 2024, so that tells you he's very highly thought of and likely has quite a bit of the skill that comes from being his father's son. He's been lighting up the WHL. Hage's a Montreal Canadiens prospect. He's got elite offensive upside. And Brady Martin is a Nashville prospect, and he brings the grit and the hustle to the skill of the other two guys on his line. He scored 2 goals in Canada's pre-tournament game against Sweden, and he looks poised to maybe have a breakout and show everyone that he belongs and that he'll be in the NHL real soon. That third line now has Cole Reshny, Cole Bowden, and Jet Lachenko. And Lachenko's a 17-year-old Flyers prospect who's already played 8 NHL games. Reshny and Bowden bring scoring depth, and the fourth line features Liam Greentree, Braden Coots, and Sam O'Reilly. These are all NHL prospects, and they got skills to burn. So, the top 4, Canada could roll 4 lines. They can all score, they all have a little bit of grit, and that kind of depth is insane. Doesn't matter what level you're at. But if you can't keep the puck out of the net, what good is your scoring? Because defense, as we know, wins championships. So let's talk about that defense. The blue line is anchored by Zane Perek and Matthew Schaefer. Wait, scratch that. Schaefer's not playing. He's staying with the Winnipeg Jets, so he's actually an NHL player. That's a massive blow. Schaefer would have been Canada's #1 defenseman by a long mile. Without him, the blue line takes a definite hit, but again, they will be very strong. They still have talent. Zane Perek is a Calgary Flames 9th overall pick. He's an offensive dynamo who had 96 points in 66 OHL games last year. He'll quarterback the power play. He's going to log major minutes, and when crunch time comes, expect to see him out there. Oh, hopefully I get this name right. Harrison Brunick is a Pittsburgh prospect who's played 11 NHL games already. He brings a stability and a two-way reliability. Kashan Aitchison is a New York Islanders first rounder. He's got size, he's got the skill to match. And then there are the draft eligible guys of Keaton Verhoef and Carson Karels, Ethan McKenzie. Verhoef is projected as a top 5 pick in the upcoming draft next summer. He's playing at North Dakota right now. He's got 10 points in 14 games. As a defender in the NCAA, that's pretty good. He's big, mobile, and can get that puck a-moving. Karels and McKenzie, they're also highly touted. The concern though, the defense may lack a bit of the elite game-breaking talent that Schaefer would have provided. They're good, but are they good enough? They got to keep that puck out of the net. In goal, Canada has 3 options, and they didn't even take one of the best possibilities. You got Carter George, Joshua Ravensbergen, and Jack Ivankovic. George is expected to be the starter. He's a Los Angeles Kings prospect who was stellar in the OHL playoffs last season. Ravensbergen and Ivankovic provide a solid depth. The expectation, that being your team, is gold. Anything less, as a Canadian team, just simply doesn't feel like it measures up. Canada opens the tournament on Boxing Day against Czechia. That team is the team that has knocked them out the past few years. And so it's the perfect revenge game. It's a real good litmus test. You're not going to want to miss this game because it's going to be a barn burner. It'll have you on the edge of the seats. And I suspect this game may even take us into extra time and give us even more of our money's worth than before. So, with that being said, with the roster that's in place, Canada really is, as always, one of the highest ranked teams and one of the teams that is the favorite for the gold medal. But again, there's pressure, massive pressure, to regain the dominance they are used to having. If they don't win gold, perhaps heads will roll yet again. Dale Hunter's job could be on the line. The entire Hockey Canada system will be questioned again, just simply because of the expectations. So this is a redemption or bust type of tournament for Team Canada. Alright, so next up, we have the defending champions. So, who is that? Well, if you weren't watching the last couple years, that would be Team USA. They're defending back-to-back gold medalists, and the Americans won 2024-2025, marking the first time in the program's history that they've won consecutive championships. Now they're going to try and go for 3 in a row. Only Canada has done that in the modern era, and they have won 5 straight from 05 to 09. So can the US pull it off? Well, as good as they are, this is going to be tough sledding no matter where you're from. So here's the reality. This isn't the same caliber of roster that won the last 2 years. The US has some major pieces that aren't available to them this year. Trey Augustine, their Vezina caliber goalie from the past 2 tournaments, has unfortunately aged out. Ryan Leonard and Gabe Perreault, who were dominant up front, they've also aged out. Zeev Buium, one of the best defensemen, has moved up to the NHL, and it appears he's staying there. So the depth isn't quite as strong as it used to be. Their goaltending is far more shaky, but the US still has talent. They are playing on home ice in Minnesota, and you can never count this team out. So, let's take a look at their roster. We'll start again with the firepower, with the offense. The top line will likely be James Hagens, Teddy Stiga, and Brody Ziemer. Hagens is a Boston Bruins 7th overall pick from the most recent draft. He's the unquestioned leader of this team. He had 9 points in 7 games at last year's tournament and has been dominant at Boston College with 16 points in 14 games this season. He's a dynamic playmaker and he has elite vision when he is on the attack on the ice. Teddy Stiga is the guy who scored the golden goal in overtime last year against Finland. He's a Nashville Predators prospect. He brings speed and creativity on the offensive end. And Brody Ziemer is a Buffalo Sabres 3rd rounder who's also been solidly excellent. And the second line features Cole Yzerman, Kamil Bednarik, and Trevor Connolly. Yzerman, I think I said that right, is a New York Islanders 1st rounder and one of the best pure goal scorers in the whole tournament, much less with the Americans. Bednarik is another Islanders prospect who's been productive at Boston University, and Connolly is a Vegas Golden Knights 1st rounder who's been playing in the AHL and has added a physical edge to his game. Being in the AHL, that's playing against guys who are on the same ilk as the NHL, meaning it's not high school kids that he's playing against. He's playing against grown men who have the maturity and the strength that most high schoolers just haven't grown into yet. It's not an insult, it's just a matter of physical biology. So, the third line has Will Horkoff, Max Plant, and Riker Lee, and Horkoff, yet another former NHLer's son in Sean Horkoff, and if you're an Edmonton Oilers fan, you know that name very well. He has been lights out at Michigan this year with 28 points in 20 games, including 19 goals. He's a bit of a revelation. Plant leads the NCAA in scoring and has been clutch for the U.S. in past tournaments. Lee is a Nashville prospect with upside. The bottom 6 includes Shane Vazagi, AJ Spalassi, Brandon McMorrow, and Jacob Vaznica. These are role players, but they do bring a high energy, high motor, and a physicality to a deep top 6. This forward group is very solid, but it's not quite as deep as the past couple years. Are they still dangerous? Most definitely. Don't sleep on this team. We could see them in a couple weeks at the gold medal game. Now, how are they going to keep the puck out of the net? Well, their defense is led by Cole Hudson, the Washington Capitals 2nd round pick. Hudson had a massive tournament last year, and he became the first defenseman in history to lead the entire tournament in scoring with 11 points in 7 games. He's an offensive wizard. He'll likely play 25-30 minutes per game, especially in the big matchups. Hudson will pair with E.J. Emery, his former USNTDP teammate, who's a New York Rangers 1st rounder. Logan Hensler is a solid two-way defenseman from Ottawa's system. Luke Osborne and Adam Kleber provide defensive depth. Then there's a couple of wild cards. Chase Reed is a 17-year-old draft eligible player who's projected to go in this year's coming up 1st round. He's got 33 points in 29 OHL games and could be a surprise or a dark horse contributor to this American team. As we mentioned, the defense is anchored by Hudson, but it lacks a bit of the shutdown ability that it's had in recent years. They'll need Hudson to sort of be superhuman at times. He'll have to play two-way, not just offense. And they'll have to do a really good job of staying out of the penalty box and keep that puck out of the net. Speaking of the net, who's going to be manning the crease? Well, the USA does not have a clear number one goalie at this point. Nick Kempf is the expected starter. He's a Washington Capitals prospect. He's been okay at Notre Dame, but his save percentage this season is just an .891. You would expect and hope your number one to be in the 900s at least. You got Caleb Heil, who's been a solid USHL, but he's still an .891 save percentage. And then you have AJ Rayeltz, an undrafted 19-year-old who has the best numbers out of them all, with a .904 save percentage in the WHL. If I'm looking at all things considered there, I'd be sticking with AJ Rayeltz just simply because he at least has the numbers to back up being a number one goaltender. The Americans will have to figure that out amongst their three goaltenders. They maybe have to do it on the fly. Maybe someone has you throw them in there. They have a period worth forgetting, and you're like, oh, we can't stick with this guy. Maybe you throw someone else in there, and they just take it and run with it. And then problem solves itself, right? So they may have a game or two at the beginning of the tournament where they quickly have to figure some of that stuff out. If they don't get the solid goaltending that they need, that dream of a three-peat, that could evaporate pretty quickly. Here's the thing though, the USA does have chemistry as 9 players return from last year's gold medal team. Those players, especially, know how to win, they know the pressure of the tournament, and they're playing on home ice with their families in the stands. The Americans open the tournament on Boxing Day as well, and they take on Germany. So, all things considered, I would say the start of the tournament, the Americans have a bit of the weaker beginning draw, but that could work in Canada's favor, because if they can survive Czechia, and then their schedule gets a bit lighter as the tournament goes on, and say the Americans start with Germany, and then their schedule gets a bit tougher as it goes along, who knows, that could work in Canada's favor. It could also work against them, making them a little more complacent than they should be. And so it's going to be a toss-up to see how this turns out. Then they have to navigate Group A for the Americans though, and that includes Sweden, Slovakia, and Switzerland. Sweden, for them, as we saw the last couple days with Canada, is going to be a very difficult matchup for them, because a team that looks more solid all around in Team Canada just split pre-tournament games with them. So they're going to be a tough out this year, especially in that Group A, as they have what seems like, maybe for Sweden, a bit of a softer draw. So can the Americans three-peat? Well, it's possible, but they'll need goaltending to step up. They'll need Hagens and Hudson to dominate, and they'll need some of the role players to step up high above their expectations. This is a different US team, but they are still dangerous, and you can't count them out, especially before the tournament even begins. So who are some of the other major contenders? Well, normally you got your Swedens, your Finlands, sometimes Switzerland is a bit of a surprise. So now we're going to talk about Sweden and Finland. And so yeah, let's start with the former, and we'll talk some Sweden now. Sweden has one of the most talented teams in the tournament, as Canadian fans have seen over the last couple of games. On paper, they might have the deepest forward group. But here's their problem. They haven't won a gold in 13 years. They've been in the medal rounds year after year, but somehow they just keep falling short of the big one. This year, though, their expectations are sky high. Sweden's forward group is loaded. Anton Frondell is a Chicago Blackhawks first rounder and one of the most versatile forwards in the tournament. Victor Eklund is a New York Islanders first rounder. He's got elite offensive upside. And then there's Ivar Stenberg, a 2026 draft eligible forward who's tracking for 50 points in the Swedish Hockey League this season. And that would be the best output of a draft eligible player in the Swedish Hockey League, basically in history. He's projected to be a top 3 pick. And again, the Swedish Hockey League, you're looking at, he's playing against men, not just high school kids. Sweden also has Viggo York, Eddie Gemborg, Wilson York, and Jack Berglund, who are all NHL prospects. They're all producing or capable of producing at a high level offensively. The defense there is anchored by returning players of Axel Sandin Palika and Tom Willander. They've got size, skill, they got NHL pedigree, but do they have a weakness? Well, it's a similar one to the United States. Goaltending is a little bit of a question mark with Sweden, as they don't have what you would consider an elite goaltender. So they'll be relying, kind of like the Americans, on a goaltending by committee. And in a tournament like this, that's like real in and out, that's a bit of a risky idea to do. You want to go in knowing who your guys are. Sweden plays in Group A with the US, and their December 29th game against the Americans could decide who wins that group. And if Sweden can get past the US, they're definitely a legitimate gold medal threat. As we mentioned, they've really, the past couple days, given Canada a real run for their money, taking a split decision there in the 2 games. Last year's silver medal winner in Finland, they have 14 guys returning from that team. There's far more continuity with them than with any other team in this tournament. They know each other. They play a very structured and disciplined game. And they have one of the best goaltending tandems, maybe right up there next to the Canadians, in terms of their depth. Speaking of depth, Finland's strength this year is definitely their depth. It's in their system and style of hockey that they play. They don't have a ton of star power, but they just play winning hockey. Kasper Haltunen is the San Jose Sharks first rounder and their best forward. Emil Hemming is a Red Wings first rounder with offensive upside. Jesse Kiskinen is a Minnesota Wild prospect, and he is a very stay-at-home, two-way reliable player. On defense, they're led by Aaron Kiviharu, a Los Angeles Kings prospect who's one of the best young defensemen in the tournament. Lasse Buelas is an Anaheim Ducks second rounder. He gives them an offensive punch. And in goal, Finland has Petri Rimpinen, a Los Angeles Kings prospect. He was one of the best goalies in last year's tournament, if you remember. He'll be the starter, and he has that stand on your head, steal a game ability that can really baffle opposing teams. Finland plays a low event defensive style, and they'll frustrate opponents and then jump on mistakes. They'll rely on their goaltending, And as always, they are a very tough out. However, they're in Group B. And listen to this Group B. I mean, 3 out of the 5 are phenomenal teams. You got Canada, Czechia, and Finland. And so, if one of those 3 goes home out of the group stage, it's like, oh my goodness, one of the best teams just got put out. Then you have Latvia and Denmark, which are like, not so much to worry about. Finland opens their tournament on Boxing Day with Denmark. And if they're somehow able to be like, say, Canada, Finland, or Czechia, Finland coming out of that group stage, look out rest of the field, because Finland's coming. Both Sweden and Finland are dangerous, but again, they will have to get past the North American giants of Canada and the US in that gold medal game. It's a tall order, but those European teams definitely have what it takes to get the job done. So don't sleep on them. They are really well coached. They play really good systems. And so they are always there, ready to take home the gold. Alright, so we've talked about the powerhouses. We've talked about our teams here in North America that we're all probably rooting for. But in every tournament, there's that Cinderella story, that dark horse, that team no one expects to get to the top of the mountain, that just goes on that run and seems unstoppable. So who might that team be in this year's tournament? Alright, I have a dark horse pick. We've actually already mentioned it, and that team would be Czechia, formerly Czechoslovakia. Czechia's won bronze in each of the past couple of tournaments. They were able to knock out Canada in the quarterfinals, and this year they might have their best roster yet in the past 3 years. Why are they a dark horse? Well, because they have a perfect mix of skill, experience, confidence, and they're not afraid of the big stage, the big moments. They've beaten Canada on this stage before when it really mattered. They have the talent to compete with anyone. So let's take a quick look at their roster. Up front, they have Adam Jirashek, the brother of St. Louis Blues defenseman David. Adam is also a St. Louis prospect. He's attending his 3rd World Junior Championships. At this point, he's a leader. He's a reliable two-way force, and you'll have to look out for him. Wojtek Sihar is a Los Angeles Kings 2nd round who has a lot of offensive upside. Thomas Politan is a New York Islanders prospect. He's a very skilled player. The problem Czechia has, though, is they lost their starting goalie, Jakub Miloda, who was a Nashville Predators prospect, after he suffered an injury and is not able to attend the tournament. For them, that's a massive blow. And they will have to rely on Matthias Marek, Michael Orsulak, and Andrzej Stebatak. None of those guys have any World Junior Championship experience at all. So for those 3 guys, this is a monumental opportunity for them to write their own story. And if they're able to come out and compete at a very high level and take Czechia farther than they've gone in many years, or at all, who knows, maybe one of those guys punches their ticket straight into the NHL. So we'll see. Czechoslovakia or Czechia has been known to produce Dominic Hasek, and there's been a few others that have come out of there that are at a very high level. And so don't be surprised. It's kind of like Quebec in Canada that always seems to be producing high level goaltenders. So on defense, Czechia is solid. They got to be able to keep the puck out of the net. So Adam Jiricek, and this is Adam Jiricek, the defenseman. He is attending his third World Juniors and will anchor the blue line. Radim Ratka is a Buffalo Sabres prospect who's a shutdown defender. He's a big boy, and their strength is their confidence. They've been to 4 straight medal rounds. They know how to win tight games. They play a very structured and disciplined style, and they just seem to thrive in that underdog role. Again, they play in Group B. They have Canada, Finland, Latvia, Denmark. Their opening game, as we already mentioned, is against Canada on Boxing Day. That's the same matchup from the last 2 quarterfinals. And if Czechia can beat Canada again, it would be an absolute statement to open Czechia's tournament. Czechia is the team nobody wants to face. They're scrappy, they're skilled, and unlike maybe a Team Canada or a Team USA, they got nothing to lose. So, don't sleep on Czechia. That's our dark horse for this tournament. So, use the hashtag TrueNorthSportsTalk, follow along with the tournament, let us know what you guys are thinking and how you're enjoying the tournament, and, round by round, let us know who you think is going to win each game. So what's the tournament format and what's to watch, just in case you're new to the tournament and have never seen it before? So, this year's World Junior Championship goes from December 26th, as always, to January 5th. There's 10 teams split into 2 groups. So you got Group A, which is the US, Sweden, Slovakia, Switzerland, and Germany. You got Canada, Finland, Czechia, Latvia, and Denmark. The preliminary round is a round robin, so each team plays the other 4 teams in their group, and the top 4 teams from each group advance to the quarterfinals. Quarterfinals then become single elimination games. So you're only guaranteed 4 games. Winners from the quarterfinals advance to the semifinals. So that brings it down to 4. And the semifinals lead to the gold medal game and the bronze medal game, which will take place on January 5th. Group A games are played at Grand Casino Arena in St. Paul. That's where the Minnesota Wild play. Group B games are played at 3M Arena in Mariucci in Minneapolis. That's where the University of Minnesota Golden Gophers play, so that's their NCAA team. And all playoff games are at Grand Casino Arena. Alright, what are some of the key games that you're going to want to tune in for? Well, you got Canada taking on Czechia December 26th at 8:30. That's a Group B game. You have US and Germany starting at 6 p.m. on the 26th. You got US versus Sweden on December 29th at 6 p.m. And this game could decide the group winner. December 31st, that's New Year's Eve, obviously. And this is a massive game starting at 3:30. You got Canada versus Finland. And again, this could be a very huge game deciding some playoff seeding. The medal rounds start on the day after New Year's on January 2nd. And the quarterfinals and semifinals are on January 4th. The bronze medal game and the gold medal game, as we mentioned, are on the 5th. Players to watch in the tournament: Gavin McKenna is probably the number one storyline. James Hagens from the US, Cole Hudson from the US, Ivar Stenberg from Sweden, and Adam Jiricek from Czechia are all players that are going to be on full display throughout the tournament. This tournament is going to be wild, it's going to be hard fought, and we're going to see who pulls it out. The talent level is off the charts. We got compelling storylines, and with it being the 50th anniversary, there's a bit of extra meaning there. Alright, one thing y'all know, I hate giving predictions. I don't like it. I just think that on paper, things look one way, but you gotta play the games. And until you get into the game, you get feel for it, you see how things are going, I really don't like making predictions, because you could be the New York Yankees and have the most stacked lineup in the world, as they did multiple times, and not even make the playoffs. So here's the thing. In my heart, being from Canada, I want to see them in the gold medal game. I want to see them win it. Do I know that's going to happen? No. Are the Americans going to be there? Well, knowing that their goaltending is not quite as solid as it used to be, some players that have been there aren't there, it's hard to say. On paper, you would love to see, from where we're sitting, Canada versus US for all the marbles. You'd love to see that. But teams like Sweden, teams like Czechia, even Finland, they're all going, well, we're going to try and throw a monkey wrench in there. So it's going to be awesome to see. Canada probably has the most talented roster top to bottom. They've got actual NHL players, they've got elite prospects, and they have just that ridiculous depth. They got game changers like Gavin McKenna, Michael Misa, and their coach has coached at a very, very high level, being as he's part of the London Knights system, and the fact that he's been in the NHL. So he's going to have this team ready to go. The biggest question is going to be goaltending. They're counting on Carter George to play well. And if all goes well that way, Canada's looking good for the gold medal. As always, Czechia, they've proven in the past that they're able to beat big teams on big stages. As I said in that previous segment, don't sleep on them. And the US, well, I'm thinking they're not going to three-peat this year. I think their goaltending and their defense, their back end, I mean, yeah, they got Hudson, but scoring, it doesn't keep the puck out of the net as a defender. It's going to be a tall order. We might see Sweden, I think, in the semifinals. Based on their goaltending situation, not sure they're going to see a podium. Finland's always tough, but again, their goaltending is going to be a question. So, I'm not going to predict this, but could we see a Canada, Czechia, and US podium? Is that possible? Well, let's find out. This tournament is very wide open. Any of these teams is capable of winning it. And so that's the excitement of it. I'm looking forward to it. Hope you guys are. Again, hashtag True North Sports Talk. And yeah, so that's it for today. That's our deep dive into the World Junior Hockey Championship. We've covered Team Canada's quest for redemption, Team USA's going for the three-peat. We've talked about the other major contenders and the dark horse pick. So this tournament's going to be incredible. We got, 5 5 days left. It's on Friday that this starts. And so yeah, puck drops December 26th on Boxing Day. And you know one thing, we'll be watching with interest to see who the best under 20 hockey team in the world are. And the stakes have never been higher. So what do you guys think? Can Canada finally break through their drought? Do you think the US is going to three-peat? Do you think Czechia is going to throw a little monkey wrench in there and shock the world? Hit me up. Let me know. Leave a comment. Send us a DM, something. We want to hear your predictions. I appreciate you guys sticking around to the end and for tuning in to True North Sports Talk Podcast. I know we went maybe a bit longer than we have been. The World Juniors deserve this type of coverage. And until next time, stay passionate. As Red Green would say, keep your stick on the ice. Stay informed. And at least for us up here north of the border, let's go Canada. Till next time, see you then.